And I'll leave the floor to Dr. Mastan to continue with other sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Razavi. The next session is track AFS track, admission, administration and financial services track. This session is chaired by Dr. Raef Abdul Nader, head of the department, AFS department. Dr. Raef Abdul Nader, you are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Doctor. So we can start, Dr. Mastan?
Yes, sir. You can start, sir. The first presenter is ready. He is available.
Okay.
You can invite.
Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Dr. Mastan. Firstly, I want to say welcome to all the participants, our dear colleagues, our dear guests, and our dear students. I'm really, it's a real pleasure for me to share this session dedicated for AFS department, and it will focus on business topics related to business administration in general, marketing and finance. So in our program we have 4 presentations. The first one is focusing on customer perception on digital marketing adoption by Omani channel retailers. The second one is presented, the first one will be presented by Ms. or Mr. Masengu, sorry, and the second one will be presented by Ghadir Al-Wahibi, focusing on the suitability of incentives offered to attract foreign investment, empirical case focusing on DOCOM economic zone. The third one will be presented by Sweetline Suji, focusing on the impact of COVID-19 on the economy of Oman. The last one will be presented by myself as a contribution of AFS department in this conference, and the title of this paper is about the use of social media during COVID-19 crisis and its impact on brand image. So this is globally the program of this session. Once again, welcome to all our guests and participants. And I think now I have to start with the first paper entitled Customer Perception on Digital Marketing Adoption by Omani Channel. I don't know, Dr. Mastan, if the participants are ready.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are ready to present.
Okay, perfect. So you can start. Welcome.
Okay.
And now it's for you.
Thank you very much. Is my slide clear?
It's very clear. You can see, we can see your screen now.
Okay.
Okay. Now it's okay.
All right. Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Masengu from Midwest
Nice to
College.
meet you. Welcome.
Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to come and present on this esteemed conference. I did this research with my colleague, Mr. Benson Ruzive from Modern College of Business and Science. So basically, our paper is going to look into issues of customer perceptions. How are the customer perceptions regarding the adoption of digital marketing by omnichannel retailers in Oman? And we are going to focus on the period, the COVID-19 period, where we started to see a lot of omni-channel retailers trying to use online methods, multiple methods, in order to increase what we call customer experience. So our research is basically going to focus on the customer, because as marketers we believe that the customer is the king. The customer is the king, and if you understand the customer, your chances of being competitive in the market are high. So our presentation is divided into the introduction, the literature review, the methodology, the findings, the conclusion, the recommendations, and areas for future research. Technology adoption remains a key phenomenon in omnichannel retailers in Oman. Technology adoption remains a key phenomenon. It is a key phenomenon because given the COVID-19 induced lockdown, which came in 2019, retailers were left without an option but to try to integrate a lot of multiple channels so that they continue to survive, so that they continue to service the customers which were there. And the coming in of COVID-19 saw a decline in terms of revenue, since most of the retailers, the omnichannel retailers were forced to close. There was a decline in revenue. And while at the same time, the operational costs were going up, and their competitive advantage was also being affected. And during that period, that is when we realized that a lot of the established e-commerce giants like Amazon, eBay, Alibaba, they started to strike. They actually started to make a lot of money. So the omnichannel retailers, or the traditional retailers, now saw an opportunity to adopt multi-channel, or to adopt other methods of enhancing the customer experience. So as I have said earlier on, our main focus is going to look into customer perceptions. Why customer perceptions? Nowadays, we are in a marketing era where we are saying whatever we produce, whatever we sell, it is supposed to be research-based, or it is supposed to be informed by what the customer needs. Organizations or retailers may go out there and adopt whatever technology, use whatever robots, but as long as they are not aware of the needs of the customer, the adoption of that technology may not make any sense. They may go out to introduce omni-channel channels, do whatever they do on the web, as long as they are not capturing the minds of the customer. Those initiatives will not benefit them. When we are talking about issues to do with customer perceptions, we are saying that we need to go, marketers, we need to go out there, retailers need to go out there and understand what we call in marketing as the consumer or the customer black box, which is the brains or which is the mind. So these are the issues which we are going to look into. So we went on again, and we managed to get a code which was which came out in one of the conference long back by a group who indicated that all companies will be internet companies, or they won't be companies at all. Get net or die. But we are saying, in as much as we can go net, in as much as all companies or all omnichannel, the retailers are getting on the internet, they need to have an appreciation of the customer perceptions. So here I have got an illustration of what we decided to call a paradigm shift. The coming in of COVID-19 brought in a paradigm shift in traditional retailers who realized that they need to move now to omni-channel retailing. Where is the paradigm shift? We may want to explore a little bit of issues along the consumer decision-making model, where we are saying customers are now, there is now a lot of alternatives. When a need arises within the customers, they now have got a lot of information. They may go online, they may use online catalogs, they can also in a position to go on in-store using online, they can even go on use social media to get information so that they fulfill a certain need. When we now come to the buying stage, when the customer decides to buy, they are also faced with a lot of alternatives, the brick and mortar store, the online shops, the online catalogs, the call centers. They now have got this lot of alternatives. When it comes to issues to do with the delivery, the customers are also faced with a lot of alternatives. And now, given this scenario, which is well connected, a lot of technology, a lot of internet which is involved, a lot of connectivity which is now involved in the buying decision model, retailers need to really appreciate what are the customers thinking, or else we may end up having retailers who are incurring a lot of returns. So marketers are very much worried about the perception. What are the customers thinking? Because as marketers, we are not we are not only concerned in today's needs, we also want to predict the needs of our customers. So how do we predict that? We need to get into the minds of our customers. We need to customize our products. We need to personalize our products based on the information which is at hand. So this is the paradigm shift which we are going to explore. Some of the perceptions which we believe that they are important in understanding what really needs to be done in order to increase customer experience. Our literature review is based on most probably a little bit of defining what do we mean by perceptions. We are talking about the cognitive feelings, what the customer thinks. As marketers, we think that what a customer thinks is more important. In as much as we are saying technology is here, we need to understand what is in the customer's brains. We need to increase customer experience. Because gone are the days where we say that you can just produce a product because the customers will buy. Customers buy an experience. I would like to quote a famous scholar in marketing, Kotler, who indicated that customers don't really buy products, but they buy brand. They buy a perception. What is the perception in regard to whatever the brand which is existing? So these are some of the literature discussions which is going to guide us as we explore the customer perceptions. Customers also, in as much as we are saying that the customer of today is connected, is on the internet 24/7, is with the smartphone, is on using a computer, the customers still have fear. The customers still feel that there is insecurity. That is the reason why you see whenever the lockdown is relaxed, people will still go to the malls to purchase their products because they still need to go. Most probably they have got that fear, the phobia, or lack of trust with online transaction or in digital platforms. So there is need now to have an appreciation of all these things. Let's now look into the methodology, how we went on to explore these perceptions of customers. The methodology which we adopted in our study is positivism research. We adopted the positivism research philosophy, which is aligned to the quantitative approaches in research. And of interest to note in unpacking the customer perceptions, we used probit and logit models so that we are in a position to interpret these different perceptions. Why two different statistical calculations? In research, logit and probit estimations are used so that they increase the robustness of our results, or we are in a position to predict certain group belongings, and whenever we are not in a position to get to a conclusion regarding a certain variable, the other calculation will assist us. So this is the probit and the logit interpretations which we used, in which 3 stars indicate 1% significance, 2 stars 5%, and 1 star 10%. So let me now get into the findings which we got in our research. The study indicated that when it comes to the use of or the adoption of digital marketing by omnichannel retailers, the issues, the level of education is very important. Retailers need to understand, because we realize that customers who are educated do appreciate the benefits which comes with the adoption of digital marketing. So when retailers now are segmenting their markets, they can use the variable of the level of education, so that they are in a position to personalize and customize their products based on the level of education. Then we went on to look into the influence of the lack of online infrastructure. The results which we got on this variable were not significant in both their logit and probit, but of it we were much interested in this variable based on other literature discussion, which indicated that customers are more willing to purchase online or to use online platforms if there is the availability of online infrastructure. When a customer purchases a product, they want most probably a logistic system which is effective. They want a lead time which is shorter. They want a communication system which is uninterrupted. So lack of online infrastructure also came into consideration. Another variable of interest which we identified was the issue of influence of online risk. Although there was no significance, but there was a significance in one of our logit model here at 1%, where customers indicated that when the presence of online risks affect the adoption. So we are saying, in as much as all retailers can get into the adoption of in the use of these technologies, use of e-commerce, as long as the issue of risk, the issue of security is not taken into consideration, the adoption of digital marketing or the use of these digital marketing platforms may be of no use. Then there is another aspect here of internet data cost. Customers also perceive that if the internet data cost is high, in as much as the retailers may want to adopt internet, may want to go online, may they want to go on the net. As long as the internet data is not affordable, customers are more likely to have a negative perception towards purchasing online because there is that additional cost. And the literature is also evidence of the fact that if we compare data, issues to do with the data, Oman and the other GCC countries, the internet data cost is a little bit higher as compared to the other countries. And we are saying that affects the perceptions towards the use of any online or any digital platform. Then the last but not least variable is the issue of online regulation, where we realized that it was significant. Both the probit and logit results showed that the issue of online regulations are very, very important when it comes to a positive perception in purchasing products online or in using digital platforms. And meaning to say that in as much as technology is the top of the day, institutions, retailers, the government need to come in with online regulations because the customers still need to be protected by regulations. Issues to do with fraud, issues to do with fake retailers who can go online and purport to be retailers. So these are some of the issues which needs to be taken into consideration. So we chose these different variables, but the aspect of understanding the issues to do with the customer perceptions is not only limited to these few variables. If we are to get another opportunity, we still believe that there is more which needs to be done in understanding customer perceptions. In as much as everyone is trying to adopt the latest technology, we still believe that there are some issues like income. There are some issues like issues to do with gender. There are some issues to do with the area of location. We need to understand these things. We need to do research in some of these areas so that we identify how customer perceptions differ as different variables, because we are saying perceptions are not fixed to some few variables. We need to explore different, most probably issues to do with the occupation. So those are areas which I think we may need as we proceed with the research to identify some other variables which will assist us in understanding our customers better, so that in as much as we are adopting technology as retailers, as much as retailers are adopting technology, they want to use technology, they are also in a position to understand their customers better. They are in a position to come up with technology, or they are supposed to come up with platforms which go hand in hand with the customer expectations. And these are our recommendations. We recommend that there is need to also educate our customers about the benefits of digital technology. And there is also need for government to come in to support, to provide the necessary infrastructure, to provide the necessary regulations, so that they boost the confidence of our customers. There is also we may also need to carry out some researches in technology adoption, most probably in different environmental settings, so that the customer is always, the customer experience is always high. The customer experience is always put first before we engage in any e-commerce activity. These are some of the references which we used in order to come up with this research. This marks the end of my presentation. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Masengu. Very interesting presentation. It's a very interesting topic, and I think it's nowadays we cannot talk about any business or marketing problem without talking about this online matter. So now I don't know if there is some participant or guests who want to ask some questions.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yes, welcome. Who is speaking now?
Nasser from Oman College student.
Welcome, Nasser. Welcome. You can start.
We would like to ask how to understand customer while you are using online business for a particular product.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Masengo.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. There are a number of, there is some feedback which is coming from my side.
Mute your mic.
Okay,
please.
thank you. There are a number of ways which are now being used to understand customer perceptions. The first, I will start with what we know all. You can do a research. You go into the market, you ask, you carry out interviews, you administer questionnaires to understand these perceptions, and most probably you rate the perceptions on a Likert scale. And there is another way in which developed countries can understand customer perceptions. They use what is called magnetic resonance imaging, whereby they expose certain adverts or certain products to a customer while they start the brain activity. Marketing is now, and they call it neuromarketing, whereby marketers are now coming hand in hand with scientists to understand the brain. Because remember, I indicated that the brain of the customer is the black box. We need to understand what the customer is thinking. So they are now taking the customer into the lab, exposed to a customer to certain products, to certain colors, and understand which product, which color, or which activity stimulates purchase within the brains of the customer. So there are a number of ways which can be done in order to understand customer perceptions. I'm not sure if I managed to answer you properly.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Masengo, for this clear presentation. I don't know if you have any other question from our guests or participants. Any other question, please? Dr. Masengo, I want just to ask one question. What about the limits of this research?
The limits of this research. I think one of the limitations of our research, which I think we are going to address, is in our future research in the issue to do with the sample. I think if we are to increase the sample, most probably the sample size, we may get very interesting results from our research. We include other towns, most probably Salala. We try to understand. We may be in a position to get some interesting results, and I also believe that we may also want to incorporate, rather than relying on quantitative approaches in understanding perceptions, we may need to incorporate other methodologies which are not quantitative per se, so that we can improve the robustness we can, so that the results can be generalized in different scenarios. I don't know if I managed to answer you on that one.
Yes, very clear, very clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I don't know if there is any other question. Otherwise, we will move to the next presentation. Okay?
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you very much, Dr. Masengu. It was a pleasure to be host of this and participant in this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Dr. Mastan.
Sir.
Dr. Mastan, the second presenter is not available.
Not available, sir. We can skip him, and I will try to contact him. Maybe we can schedule at the last if he's not available.
Okay, no problem. We can, the third one, the third participant, Sweetline Suji.
She's available, sir. Sweetline Suji is available.
So we can start the third presentation. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we can start. Sweetline Suji from University of Technology and Applied Sciences of February, with cooperation with Dr. Mubarak Mastan. The title of this paper is The Impact of COVID-19 Pandemic on the Economy of Oman. So we can start.
Dr. Musango, please. Dr. Musango, please stop sharing. Yes.
It's okay, Dr. Mastan?
Yes, sir. Ms. Sweetline, you can start the presentation.
Ms. Sweetline, are you ready? Dr. Mastan, maybe it's due to the gap between the expected timing and the.
Yes, sir. We are
there is
ahead
a difference with the planet schedule.
But it shows that she is available. She is in online.
Okay, doctor, what I suggest, can I start my presentation, which is the fourth paper?
Okay, sir, you can
and
start.
And after this, we'll go back to the remaining papers, waiting for the other participant joining us. What do you think, Dr. Mastan?
Yes, sir, you can start your presentation, sir. I am
Okay,
making you
I will share now my screen with you.
Yes.
You can see my screen now, huh?
No, sir, it's a blank screen.
I think you have to wait.
Yes.
It's okay now?
No, sir, still the blank screen.
I will
again, once again, the sharing. Stop sharing and again start resharing.
Doctor, the option of sharing is not
Just
Doctor.
you have to.
I have to close one.
He's talking. Yeah, I make both the things as. Yes, sir. Try now, sir. Do again, make him present again.
I will share again.
No, it's not.
Doctor, I have to choose the option entire screen or window.
Entire screen, sir. Do it entire screen.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Entire.
It's okay now.
No, sir. Still.
Type. Okay, Dr. Masan. To avoid this problem, you have my PowerPoint presentation. Could you please share it from your computer, and I will try to follow.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Mastan.
Yes, sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. So, firstly, I want to thank you very much for attending this conference, and especially this session dedicated for AFS department and for business and finance and marketing topics. So, the title of this paper is focusing on the use of social media during COVID-19 crisis and its impact on brand image and brand trust. It is a proposal of conceptual model for the case of airlines industry. So Dr. Mastan, I will follow through my presentation, my computer, okay? So the abstract of this paper, of this draft of paper, to be honest with you, it's just the conceptual part of the conceptual study, and inshallah the empirical study will follow in the coming weeks, inshallah. So the aim of this paper is to propose a kind of conceptual framework to examine the ability of social media to influence brand image in the airlines industry in time of COVID-19 crisis. You know that one of the most impacted and affected fields or sectors by COVID-19 pandemic is the sector of airlines. And this required a lot of effort in terms of advertising, in terms of communication from these companies to try to minimize the impact of this pandemic. So the purpose of this paper is to study the relationship between the use of social media by airlines company and the consequences and the impact of this on two major variables, which are the brand image and the brand trust. With reference to this, we refer it to the TAM model from Delon and McLean success model. And here we propose it to consider 6 variables, which are the information quality, the system quality, and the service quality. Here we are talking about information. And we'll study the impact of this on the user satisfaction, the brand trust, and the brand image. So this will be showed through the conceptual model in the coming slides. So we are expecting for some results in this regard. We are expecting that we will have a positive effect of information quality, system quality, and service quality on user satisfaction toward the airlines companies, so, social media طبعا. And secondly, we are expecting to confirm the positive impact on the user satisfaction on brand trust and brand image. The major keywords of this paper are social media, IS model, brand image, user satisfaction, brand trust, airlines industry, and COVID-19. So, as introduction, just I want to highlight again that in the marketing context, the use of social media is very important because the social media are used as an important integrated marketing communication tools because it include different types of tools and it is now it became something which is very useful for companies due its covering abilities and also due the cost generated by this kind of tools. So social media offer also the possibility to promote products and services, to provide an instant support, and also to create an online community, which is very important. Let's say it's the new way to practice the word of mouth. You know that one of the most important way to communicate is the word of mouth. So now nowadays through the social media tools we have an online word of mouth. So just to give a brief definition or a simple definition of social media, we can say that social media are defined as an encompassing a wide range of online word of mouth forums, including blogs, company sponsored discussion boards, and chat rooms, consumer to consumer email, consumer products or services rating websites and forums, internet discussions, moblogs, sites containing digital audio, image, movies, photographs, and social networking websites. So there is a wide range of tools. The definition is on 2007, but now we have for sure new tools and we have the new techniques and methods used under the umbrella of social media. So in this regard, we can say that several studies demonstrated in the literature review, several studies demonstrated that social media can provide many advantages to brands. It allows securing reputation of the brand, it increases sales, it involves consumer in brand creation process, it can contribute in the expanding of brand awareness, and also it can help to distinguish points of brand performance. So in this regard, it is very important to we cannot avoid to consider the role of social media, especially in the context of crisis and in the context of corona crisis mainly. So the purpose of this research is to make things more clear, is to analyze or to examine the role of social media and its ability to influence two major variables, which are the brand image and the brand trust. And we will see in the coming slide how we composed our conceptual model in this regard. So the purpose is to test or to study the relationships between three major variables extracted from a TAM model, okay, which are the system quality, the information quality, and the service quality related to the information, to study the social media impact and the impact of this on the other variables, which are the brand trust and also the brand image. So regarding the variables chosen for the model, conceptual model, as I told you, we focused on 6 major variables, which are information quality, system quality, service quality, user satisfaction, and brand image and brand trust. Just to give you a brief overview regarding the definition or the importance of considering these variables. So regarding the information quality, because the major role of social media is to inform. We know that in communication models and in advertising model, the first role of any media or any tool of communication is to inform people. So information quality is very important because it should be measured, and also it is included, or it should consider the timeliness, accuracy, reliability, and trustworthiness. And this study tried, I mean, the study of Urbach and Muller operationalize the information quality in terms of usefulness, effectiveness, efficiency, confidentiality, availability, and accuracy and reliability of information generated by the Facebook page. In our research, we will try to focus mainly on the use of social Facebook for empirical consideration, and we'll explain this in the coming slides. So we will focus, or we will try to measure the information quality through the assessment of the usefulness, how much the information is useful for people, how much it is effective, how much it is efficient, confidential, availability. So this is to appreciate the information quality offered by the system, which is the social media tool. The second variable or construct which should be appreciated in this model is the system quality. The system quality. So here we will try to assess the system quality by examining the ease of use associated with intranet, as well as functionality and accessibility. Sorry. So to appreciate the system quality, we will refer to these variables or this criteria. Okay. In terms of service quality, this will focus, or will try to measure in terms of quality of support rendered by the IT developers, the quality of the page, the quality of the social media tool in general, how much it is easy to use, the clarity of information, etc. So there is a battery of items that will be used in this regard. So this is the three first variables related to the system. I mean the information system, which is composed by these three major variables. Now we will try to talk about the dependent variables, which is firstly the user satisfaction. The user satisfaction toward what? Toward the system. So this is considered as one of the most important measures of system success, often measured by overall user satisfaction, as it was explained by Delon and McLean. And it was assessed in the study by capturing overall user satisfaction with the Facebook page. Here we will try to measure and to estimate the degree of user satisfaction toward the system. It's not the user satisfaction toward the company or to the brand. It is the user satisfaction toward the system. Okay. Now we come to the last two dependent variables, which are brand image and brand trust. Regarding brand image, it is a very important variable in marketing, especially in the context of crisis, because you know one of the direct impact of any crisis, external or internal, on any brand is the brand image. يعني صورة المؤسسة أول شيء يتضرر من أي كرايزس أو أي مشكلة هو مشكلة طبعا صورة المؤسسة، صورة العلامة التجارية, the brand image. So in this regard, we can say that, or with reference to statement of Keller, He stated that brand image was the general perception of a brand situated in consumer memory and the combination of many brands reminders. So it is very important to consider how much the brand image is impacted or affected by the corona crisis. And this is one of the most important purpose of this paper. Another important idea to highlight in this regard is that there is, with reference to the literature review, there is a direct relationship between the brand image and the brand trust, with reference to the works of H and also Liu and Ming and all. So it is very important to consider that there is a relationship that we will examine in our model between brand trust and the brand image. Finally, to talk about brand trust, which is another very important variable, especially in the context of crisis, which is very important because building and maintaining a trusting and long relationship with customer is very critical for any company. And today, the major challenge for any company is how to exit from this long bad trip with Corona, and to find the way to rebuild again the trust and this relationship with customers. So in this regard, we will try to also to consider the trust, brand trust in our models, and we will use some items through the literature proposed by Shadri and Holbrook, or Raimondo also, and Richard and Schefter. They proposed and suggested many items to measure the brand trust. So our proposal for model is like this. So here, as you can see, we have the information quality, the system quality, the service quality, the user satisfaction, and the brand image. So here we have our 7 hypotheses, which are explained in this slide. So hypotheses to be tested are: H1 is information quality positively affect user satisfaction. H2 is system quality positively affect user satisfaction. H3, service quality positively affect user satisfaction. H4, user satisfaction positively affect brand trust. It means when the user is satisfied, for sure he will have, or we are expecting that he will develop a kind of brand trust, and also he will have a positive perception or a positive brand image. And in this regard, in marketing study, we generally refer to moderation and moderator role of many variables. So in this case, we will study in the hypothesis H7 to study if the existence of mediating role of brand trust between user satisfaction and brand image. So globally, I think this is our model. So this model now is I am still developing the questionnaire, or I am finalizing the questionnaire. Inshallah, an online survey will be implemented and it will be sent. The target is to establish a survey with more than 1,000 followers of Facebook pages for the best airlines company in the world. And we will try to examine their results and to detect the major conclusion from this survey. Taban, we will use some items to measure this variable. All the items will be extracted from the literature review. So, but for sure we'll have to do the post testing to calculate the estimated alpha chromback, etc. And all the statistical tests that we have to do or to implement before starting the study. So this is, inshallah, will be implemented in the coming weeks. So thank you very much for your attention, and feel free to ask any question if you have. Thanks. Dr. Mastan?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. Now I will again, I interfere here as a chair of this session. So I don't know for our colleagues, our guests, and our students, if you have any questions. Otherwise, if the other participant or presenter is available now, we can.
Is available, sir. Ms. Sweetline, Dr. Sweetline is available. So we'll share the screen. And
Okay, perfect. So thank you very much for all of you for your attention for my presentation. Now we will move for the third presentation entitled Impact of COVID-19 Pandemic on the Economy of Oman, presented by Ms. Sweetline Suji, and I hope that I pronounced your name correctly, and for sure our dear colleague, Dr. Mubarak Ali.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well. Thank you. Go ahead.
So today, my topic for presentation will be impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the economy of Oman. As you all know, we are all currently suffering due to this COVID-19 impact. Almost all the houses have been affected in one way or the other by this pandemic. So this pandemic originally was this coronavirus. It originated from the province of Wuhan, China, and you know the impact by this time it has touched every household in one way or the other. So this made us to think what would be the impact of this COVID-19 on the economy of Oman. So keeping this in mind, we chose 9 sectors which would be very much affected by this pandemic, and what are the various ways in which it has got affected. So let's see. The COVID-19 will be lowering the global domestic product by 0.5%. That is, it said from 2.9% to 2.4%. It would be lowering the GDP. So the present study will discuss the impact of COVID-19 on the economy of Oman, keeping in mind the activities associated across all the sectors. Now we know that Oman is trying its best to diversify to non-oil sector. So the present study will also provide insights on the future economic prospects of Oman using the secondary research materials. The purpose of this study. This paper aims to conduct a literature review of the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the economy of Oman through the lens of the sectoral contribution to Oman's GDP. So the following sectors were chosen: oil and gas, real estate and construction industry, manufacturing industry, retail industry, healthcare, financial services, education, transport and logistics, hotel and leisure. So as you know, the pandemic is very recent. There is lack of research analyzing the impact of COVID on the economy of Oman specifically. I found a lot of resources we found, but to this specifically, maybe some reports talked about construction industry, some talked about education, some talked about various sectors, but we found very few literature reviewing all the sectors. So what was used for this study was the official government statistics on the relevant economic figures, annual economic reports released by Oman, as well as newspaper articles and journal articles. So first of all, let us see the sectoral impact of this pandemic on the oil and gas sector. So oil and gas was the worst affected because of the decreased demand due to lockdowns, and also the OPEC countries, they were not able to agree on a common price, and also the storage capacity constraints added pressure on oil prices, and also the lower oil prices impacted the entire value chain of the related auxiliary services which was connected to this. And also, due to this pandemic, layoff has become a common sight across the industry, not only in Oman, but globally. This next sector which was affected was the real estate and construction. See, as all of us can visualize, there was a lot of pressure to postpone the rent collection because of the cash flow problems with the leaseholders, and because of the government reduction in the budget, it led to delayed payments, postponement of payments, and sometimes even in the cancellation of the projects. Then mass unemployment, many were losing their jobs. So what happened? The rentals, there was no, it put pressure on rentals, and also some of the companies faced salary reduction, which also put a heavy pressure on rentals and debt servicing. So both the oil and gas and the real estate and construction industry faced very serious economic impact. The next industry which was affected was the manufacturing industry. So due to lockdown, due to social distancing measures which was undertaken by the government, many disruption was in the supply chain. Also raw material was unavailable, and it was very difficult to continue with the manufacturing process. So we can understand that it had a manufacturing industries faced a serious impact due to this pandemic. The next sector was the retail. The retail sector, the impact on the essential goods, especially the food and groceries, is minimum and is positive. In most cases, due to the stockpiling of essential, people started to buy more and keep it at home. Other retailers are heavily impacted by the shutdown of malls and shops. When essential goods, it did not affect much because all the consumers rushed to purchase the essential and stock more, but the other retailers faced a very bad impact because all the malls were shut down. Some customers have moved to digital platforms. So as we spoke in the previous discussions, most of the customers started purchasing online, and the long impact of this needs to be evaluated. We have to wait and see what this is going to bring forth in the real retail world. The next impact which was faced in the sector was healthcare. Because of this COVID-19, most of the patients stopped coming to the healthcare because they thought, let us keep this for a while. They postponed the other procedures, and the main important investment was only on the COVID-19 related cases. So if the investments were fully on their testing kits, PPE kits, oxygen cylinders, ICU beds. So most of the things went on this increased investment to handle the COVID-19 cases. In the financial services sector also, there were a lot of difficulties which was faced because sourcing the domestic and overseas wholesale funding became very difficult because of the liquidity constraints, and lot of covenant breaches, payment delays and defaults has increased, again cost due to unemployment, cost due to layoffs, and many of them lost their jobs, so they had to leave the country. So many problems occurred in the financial services sector too. The next sector, as we are all into the education, the serious impact which we faced, each one of us must have experienced that the educational institutes faced a very serious impact, and all of them have changed the education pattern to online. And if you see the schools, most of the schools are asked to waive the fees or to take the fees at a later stage. This has also impacted the cash flows too much, and some small schools even find it very difficult to survive. The next sector which is affected is the transport and logistics. Due to the limited movement of goods, primarily related to essential services, we can see that the sector faced a very serious impact, and also there was a lot of decline in non-essential goods movement, because as you see, the customers were not interested to go in for the non-essential, and even the lockdown, during the lockdown time, only the essential commodities got the were able to come to the means one state to other. So this also has put a pressure on the transport and logistics. And as all of us know, the serious impact is again felt on the hotel and leisure industry due to the mass scale cancellation for travel booking, hotel accommodation, also the cancellation of events due to ban on large gatherings. If you see, Oman is basically very culture oriented, and there were lots of festivals and everything they celebrate in the gathering. But all this has stopped now due to this lockdown, and it has affected seriously the hotel and the leisure industry too. So we have chosen 9 industry. So generally, if you see the general findings, we will know that COVID has affected in the oil prices and also the supply chain cuts, and it also has resulted in the government's need to divert its spending on more pressing sectors. So the most affected sectors are hospitality, transportation and storage, and wholesale and retail trade. Small and self-employed businesses have been very particularly impacted. They were affected by the decrease in the demand and collapse of demand by tourists and business travelers as a result of border closures. One of the biggest challenges facing the higher education institutions is a lack of clear policy for e-learning and clear standards for assessing the quality of the e-learning provided to students. If you see, each college is following different patterns, each school, they are following different patterns. So e-learning, the teaching is going on, but assessing quality is still a question mark. Now, after going through several literature and seeing what would be the best for the policy setters and the government to overcome this pandemic, certain recommendations are put forth. For the oil and gas industry, the suggestion is it is absolutely critical for the oil and gas companies to distinguish between their B2B and B2C customers, and a more flexible business model should be built for long-term resilience. Definitely it is a shock, what is the oil and gas industry, what it is facing now, but they have to come up with the situation, and they have to come up with flexible business models to meet this pandemic situation crisis. The next one is the real estate and construction. The Omani construction companies should focus on restructuring their strategies to tide through this pandemic. Again, the strategy which they are evolved now should be restructured so that they can survive even in this pandemic situation. Next, what will we say to the manufacturing companies? They also should modify their business model by making it more responsive to shocks. And also, they have to reduce their investment pattern. Instead of purchasing the capital equipment, they can go for the renting of those equipment. And instead of taking permanent employees, they can start taking the employees for a period of time, or outsourcing some work to another company. Some models which will reduce their costs and allow them to withstand the situation should be followed by the manufacturing companies. For the retail, Again, one of our colleagues noted that there is a next normal. So the next normal is still taking the shape. So the customer expectation will still continue to shift. We cannot say that the customer's response will be the same. They also will start responding. So the retailers should focus on customer experience and respond with agility and innovation in their omni-channel experience will fare better and strengthen their ties to customers. So that retailer who is going to give the customer a best experience, he will be able to be in the market than the rest. Now, healthcare. The global community must come together to collaborate, coordinate, and share the lessons learned and assist each other to combat the pandemic. Until every country is safe, no country will be safe. See, all of us know what has happened to the other countries. The same is happening to the other countries. So we have to learn lessons from the other countries in terms of technology, in terms of recovery, what they have done. And this outbreak should serve to highlight the extent to which the countries are interconnected and interdependent, and should be a call to strengthen global institutions and the global governance system. So very, very good emphasis should be faced on good practice. All the good practice which is taken in the other countries should be followed, and it should be a learning lesson for the country, and thus they can alleviate a lot of problems which can happen still in the future. And next, if you see now, all of us have moved digital. So main important thing is promoting the awareness and education among consumers to use the digital financial services. All along, if you see, we have been doing all of them visiting the premises, but due to this lockdown and due to the other problems, the first and foremost emphasis should be on promoting awareness and education among the consumers for the governments, development agencies and industry leaders. The promotion of consumer education initiatives and awareness campaigns among the population is an essential step towards ensuring widespread usage of digital financial services. If you see, most of the services are done online. Only thing, most of us are not familiar to do this. Once the customer is aware and educated to do it, then it will become this a pandemic situation also can be, we can survive during this. These initiatives are also fundamental to motivate the customers in becoming active mobile wallet users and move away from the agent assisted transaction, as well as assure them of the effectiveness of the existing mechanism for fraud prevention and complaint redressal. So if you have to see, I myself was not a very good user of these online services, but in this 1 year pandemic, I have learned to use all of them online. So it is one way technology has helped us to cope up with this pandemic situation, and by educating, I hope all of them will be able to cope up with this. Next, if you see, education. Very important, because we are in that field. We found that there is a large disparity in financial, logistical and training support provided to the faculty members and students. There is currently dispersed and different efforts in electronic teaching methods, means student evaluation and improving students' ability to e-learn without providing them with appropriate support. So if you see in the interior like Salala or Abri or some in remote places, even having internet facility is a challenge to most of the students. And we are building on one hand, we are building all the resources, but one hand the students are not able to access to these things due to the lack of internet facility. So strict directives should be published by the government to control the situation, because the quality of education is at stake, and very soon this measure should be the government should come out with good policies so that there is consistency in this courses which is delivered by various higher education institutions and also in the school level. The next thing, the recommendation for the transport and logistics sector should be to restructuring the supply chains and make them more stable and less vulnerable to disruption during the crisis. So there should be a buffer plan. So there should be, the supply chain should be restructured so that during such a situation they don't undergo a very high breakdown. The next is, the last is the hotel and leisure industry. The countries need to develop collaborative systems across borders to safely resume travel, restore the traveler and business confidence, stimulate the demand, and accelerate tourism recovery. So there should be a uniform policy which can be made so that every person with vaccine can travel or something, so that this travel industry does not suffer to this extent. If you see, hotel and leisure industry has almost most of the small restaurants has closed down, and even the big airlines industry is also facing a terrible loss. So unless and until there is a uniform policy from across the countries which is developed, it cannot lead to the recovery in the tourism. So more efficient international coordination systems are also needed to respond to future shocks. So in conclusion, I would like to say that the biggest challenge in the last 10 months of Sultan Haytham's rule has been controlling the COVID-19 pandemic, which saw an average of 2,000 cases a day at its peak in July in a country of 4.5 million. Also, a slowing economy and COVID-19 have forced the exit of over 277,000 foreign workers in the first 10 months of the year. Many businesses are struggling, employees have faced salary cuts, and some businesses have shut down as well. The non-oil sector, particularly tourism, is reeling under the impact of the pandemic. Oman recorded 3.5 million tourist arrivals in the 2019, but you know now what has happened. In the coming days, the challenge is for the country is to vaccinate the country's population and navigate the economy through uncharted waters, provide jobs to thousands of Omani youths who are graduating from colleges and universities every year. So with this, I conclude saying that we hope this pandemic will end soon and hope the economy will boom for a better future, and we will be also facing COVID-free economy. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions?
Thank you very much for your very interesting presentation. Thank you for your valuable efforts. So now for our colleagues, our dear guests and participants, if you want to ask some questions regarding this presentation. Any question to discuss the conclusion, the recommendation of this paper? Dear colleagues, dear participant. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you again for our dear participant. So, Dr. Mastan, I think that the last paper planned for today is the presenter is available now. Huh?
Yes, sir. From
Ms. Ghadir Ramis, am I right?
Yes, Ms. Ghadir Ramis from Al Sharqiya University.
Okay. So, Ms. Ghadir, you can start. Please proceed for your presentation. It's for you now. Dr. Mastan, everything is okay with technical support?
Yes, I think, sir. Ms. Kadir, if you have any trouble in
She can
sharing
start
your
sharing her screen.
yes, sir. She was made as a presenter.
Mhm.
She can start the presentation.
If there is any difficulty, you can proceed as we did with my presentation.
Yes, yes. But Ms.
Okay.
Gadir, please share your screen. If you
Ms.
have
Ghadir,
any,
please.
let us know. Ms. Gadir Ramis, please let us know if you have any difficulty. Ms. Gadir Ramis, are you available?
Dr. Mastan, here it's appear that she is not available here.
But
Ms. Ghadir is not available here.
Sir, I see she is available and I made her presenter, Gadir Ramis. You can see in the presenter list. She is not responding. Maybe she is not available, I think.
Okay. So, doctor, what you have to do? I think now we finished with our plan, with our program
Yes.
for today, I think.
Now we have 10 minutes for open discussion forum. If any of
Okay.
the participants, if they have any queries regarding the session 2 presentation, they can ask any queries.
Okay, perfect. So I don't know if Ms. Ghadir will join us again or not, but we can proceed. Otherwise, with Dr. Mastan, we can plan her presentation for tomorrow if it is possible. I don't know for our session for tomorrow.
No, sir, Ms. Ghadir started sharing.
She's joining us. Okay, perfect, perfect. So let's start. Ms. Ghadir, you can proceed now for your presentation, if you are hearing me now. Ms. Ghadir?
Ms. Ghadir, please check your mic if there is any
You can
problem
proceed.
with your
You
mic.
can proceed. We can see your screen. It's very clear. But now try to check your mic and you can proceed for presentation. So, Dr. Mastan, I think again there is a problem with sound, or I don't know. Huh?
Yes, sir.
So
Maybe
waiting for Ms. Ghadir, maybe she can join us. Again, a kind of invitation for all the participants and our guests, etc. If you have any question, any remark, any point to highlight with reference to the 3 previous presentations. Have you any question, any comment, any suggestion for improvement? I don't know. Okay, thank you very much. So, Dr. Mastan.
yes, sir.
Shall we wait for more time, or what we have to do now with Ms. Ghadir?
I think she left, sir. She is trying once again, I think.
Okay.
She left, sir. Okay, sir. Then I will schedule her presentation for the next day.
Okay.
So
Tomorrow, I think that we have just 3 presentations, so we can reschedule again his presentation for tomorrow. Okay?
Thank you.
So
sir.
thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear guest, dear participant. It was a real pleasure. Thank you very much. And inshallah, we'll meet together for the second day of this conference. We'll be very proud to see you also tomorrow, inshallah. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Dr. Mastan, for your valuable contribution.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mastan.
To all the
I finished with my session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for all the presenters and the participants for their contribution and time. Hope to see you for the day 2 program of the conference. The time is the same from 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. See you in the tomorrow's session. Thank you.